Hi and welcome to another episode of Make Space. My name's Cara and I'm from LoveBristol Church, and Make Space is all for makers. It's for makers of any flavour, whether you consider yourself professional or not, or whether you share our worldview. And it's just a place for encouragement and reflection and a bit of inspiration too, hopefully. So please make yourself at home. And I should also remind you to like and share the post if you enjoy it, and subscribe to our YouTube channel too, because that's what I'm supposed to do, isn't it? I'm supposed to say those things. So yes, please make yourself at home. And I'd love you to take part in whatever way you feel able to. So put something in the comments or send me a message. There's ways of contacting me on the Facebook Make Space page. And I always offer, if anybody wants me to pray about anything, then please send me your prayer requests. I'd love to pray for you. That would be great. So today, how are you doing? I've got to be honest. This morning was one of those mornings when I felt like, oh goodness, I really do not feel like doing this today. I think one of the things that I was worried about in starting Make Space is that I'd have days like today where I felt a bit wobbly and a bit vulnerable and didn't actually feel very much up to doing a live broadcast. And in the spirit of vulnerability, today is one of those days where I woke up feeling like a bit anxious and tearful, and it happens, doesn't it? It happens to all of us. But I know that there's something in the power of vulnerability too, and without going into a whole rant on social media and the authenticity thereof, I think it's important that we acknowledge these things, and that I acknowledge these things to you, that today I just feel a little bit all over the place and a little bit worried about work, and a little bit bothered by some of the things that I've dealt with this morning. And we all need that time just to be kind to ourselves and give ourselves a bit of a break. I don't know about you. I don't know what you do at those times. One of the things I always do is pray, just spend some time, a bit of quiet, and ask for a fresh perspective and some peace. That's one of the things I do. And then the other thing I do, which I find really hard to do, is to reach out to other people. And so I did actually say to a friend this morning, look, I'm not feeling so good. And she prayed with me as well, which was really good. I think that's hard to do sometimes. Well, it is for me. I think it's just pride, isn't it? But sometimes we need to do those things. So bear with me today if things, if I lose my place and can't quite remember what we're supposed to be doing when. I've also had a week off, which doesn't help, because now I've got to get back into the swing of doing it all over again. But I'm sure I'll find my way. So what have we got coming up today? We've got a usual meditation, and then I can't remember what have we got next. Oh yeah, a creative prompt, interview with a maker, and then a blessing at the end, which I just realized I've completely forgotten to think about. So I will make it up as we go along, and that will be absolutely fine. So right then, meditation. Now, I haven't let you into this secret already, but what I tend to do the meditation on is something that I've been reflecting on, and something that just comes to mind currently for me. And so this morning, it's completely relevant to what I've been struggling with today and a little bit this past week. It's just thinking about those things that can sometimes worry us or cause us anxiety. And I'll just read this first bit, the introduction that I've written before we actually go into full-on meditation mode. I've written this. Sometimes we get so accustomed to carrying a heavy load that we don't even realise that we're carrying it. Whereas negative thoughts and emotions can really weigh us down and prevent us from treating ourselves and treating other people as we were intended to. We were made to be free of these things, to walk free and stand tall. Although at times it might seem impossible, there is a way to get back to this place of freedom. The first thing we need to do is to be aware of the things that are weighing us down before we can deal with them. So that's what the meditation's about this morning. It's about trying to sort of identify some of those things, although it's an uncomfortable place to go to sometimes. So just try and get yourself in a comfortable position and take a deep breath, and I'll put the image up on the screen and I'll take you through the meditation. So here we go. I'd like you to imagine that you're on a walk in the countryside. The air is clean and pure, the sun is shining, and the scenery is beautiful. All around you is peaceful. Spend a moment just taking this in and being thankful for all the good things that surround you at the moment. I'd like you to imagine that you're carrying a large rucksack on your back. After only a short distance, you soon become aware of the things that are niggling you about it. Maybe it throws you off balance a bit when you try and step over an obstacle. There's something digging into your back, or one of the straps is too tight and is rubbing you. Review the last day, and maybe even the last week, and see if you can identify the things that have been uncomfortable or have been niggling you. You might want to write down a word for each of those things. It can be uncomfortable to acknowledge these things or to remind yourself of those feelings. But I'd just like you to ask right now which one of those things you should focus on for the next couple of minutes. Go with the one that comes to you first without overthinking it. In my imagination, I return to that specific moment or thought or emotion that I'm focusing on. I imagine the divine and myself watching this moment together, side by side. We watch as my heart fills to the brim with the negative emotion that swept me away. I ask what I need in this situation. Do I need to respond in some way? Are there things I did which are against my design or nature that I need to say sorry for? Do I need healing? Spend a moment in quiet, responding or asking for what you need. Now I'd like you to leave the rucksack on the ground where you unpacked it and continue your walk. Walk for a while, just long enough to notice what it feels like to be free of the load you were carrying. Review your recent past again and ask, when was the time that you felt most free, most light, most alive? Now you are watching this moment with the divine and noticing what happened and what was going on in your thoughts and in your heart. Spend a moment reflecting on this and ask for a divine perspective on it. Is there anything I could ask for? Or is there any way that I feel prompted to respond? I'm just going to read you a verse from the Bible. Well, it's a couple of verses actually. This is from Matthew 11, verses 28 to 30. Are you weary, carrying a heavy burden? Come to me. I will refresh your life, for I am your oasis. Simply join your life with mine. Learn my ways, and you'll discover that I'm gentle, humble, easy to please. You will find refreshment and rest in me. For all that I require of you will be pleasant and easy to bear. There you go. How did you get on with that today? I know there's some ideas and things that might be a bit new to you, but I just encourage you to go with it. And when you're in that moment, just acknowledge what's going on in your thoughts and your emotions, because it can be actually quite interesting just to take note of what's going on and the thoughts that come into your head. Now, usually at this point, I also share some things that I've felt come to my mind when I've been praying before the session, because I believe that God speaks to me, and this is one of the ways that he does that, to show me thoughts and impressions for people that might be relevant or significant to them. So the things I've got today are, just let me find the thing, hold on. The first one was a picture of somebody lying or kneeling on a striped rug. And I got the impression that they weren't in a particularly good place. They were crying out for something while they were kneeling there. And the striped rug reminded me of lots of layers of things. And I felt that this person identified with feeling buried under lots of layers of stuff, maybe from the past, maybe disappointments or hurts or things like that. And they felt that it was impossible to overcome those things, and that it would be too painful maybe to examine them. And I just wanted to speak to you and say that the feeling I had was that those things aren't true, that it both is possible, it is possible to overcome those things. And while there might be some pain in looking at them again, there is a possibility that it can be done in gentleness. And that I know that when I've experienced the help from God for those things, that he's dealt with me gently, even though it's been tricky at times to face things. And the second picture I had, I'm not quite so sure about, because I'm doing all this in faith. I have these pictures and things, and I might have got it wrong, and I might have got something, a bit of something from God. And, I take a step of faith in sharing some of these things, knowing that in the past, there have been some very significant things that have happened when I've shared this. So this is one of those things that I'm not quite so sure about, or have not maybe got the whole picture of, but I'm going to go for it anyway, in the hope that it speaks to somebody. So the second picture I had was of a sunflower, and I was reminded a bit of what happens when you pull the petals off a daisy and you say, he loves me not, he loves me not. And the picture I had was of somebody doing this with a sunflower and pulling the petals off and going, he loves me not, he loves me not, until all of the petals were removed and you were just left with the seed head of the sunflower. And I was asking, what's all that about? And I kind of felt like there'd been some deliberation or insecurity for somebody, that'd been asking questions about whether they were loved or appreciated. And they got to this place where they'd done so much self-examination that they were actually felt that they were left with nothing. And instead, what I felt was that they were actually left with a seed head. And the core of what you've been left with is actually something that you can use to plant new seeds with. So that may mean something to you. If you want to at any time discuss any of these things, please get in touch with me. I'd love to talk to you about them. So there we go. Those are the kind of God things for today, however you take that. So then, what have we got coming up next? Well, I've got an interview with Hannah, and I'll just give you a bit of intro before I start, because I had to edit this one down quite a lot, so I've cut out my blurb at the beginning. So instead of saying, hello, this is Hannah, I'm doing it now. So we're going to see Hannah today, and she's going to tell us something about what she makes. So let me find the video. Here we go.
Hi, yeah, I'm Hannah. I live in Bristol. I work in my main job as a secondary school teacher, so that's what I do. But yeah, art's kind of something that I've done, since I was little. Only recently, in the last few years, it's something that I've come back to. And I've got a studio space now that I share with a friend, so it's just something that I've started exploring again and just sort of remembering kind of that side of me.
What kind of thing do you do most of now? What sort of form does your work take?
Yeah, so I do, like, in terms of like the mediums that I use, they vary a lot, but I guess there's often a theme which is quite spiritual. So a lot of my work at the moment is kind of an outworking of like my sort of faith ideas and just me trying to understand that. Although it can take different, like I'll use different things like paint or resin or whatever it is. It's more about like the ideas I'm trying to express. So I quite like, because I'm not really expert at any particular thing. I just like experimenting and just kind of seeing what happens, and a lot of the time it ends up in a bit of a mess, but that's also quite fun as well. It's a good, it's nice to have an opportunity to try new things and new techniques.
Cool. Okay, well, it's easier if we just have a look. Let's start with this one.
Okay, so yeah, this one, this is probably, it's the only finished piece that I'm going to show you today. This is based on a painting by a Russian Orthodox painter called Andrei Rublev, and
let me just
get that picture up. Yeah, so this is a really famous painting by him, and it's said to be an early depiction of the Trinity. So the Christian idea that God is kind of three in one. You can see there's a little square like in the table, like between their two legs at the front. So originally that square, they think, had a mirror in it. And so the idea was you're looking on God and you're looking at the Trinity, and you're seeing yourself kind of invited into that and kind of reflected within that. And that's kind of like the essence, really. So that's kind of the idea. And then I guess the working out of it in that form, that was more of a stylistic thing, and I just wanted to try it. So I originally did that, actually. The original design I did in lino cut, and I didn't like it for some reason. And then I ended up making it in that. And I've actually got the thing that I made down here.
Yeah, let's have a look.
I'll try and show it. So it's like, you can see it's on a board, and then I painted the board. Where are we going? Over here. And I poured resin. So if you can see, there's like resin. And then I did this design, which is kind of my version of that design that I showed you. And then I kind of did a stencil, then did it in gold leaf, then put it into a mold, and then put another layer of resin on top. And it's this idea, so they're quite like, I guess, quite mystical beings. And this is meant to be a tree, although a child looked at it once and said, oh, it looks like flying carrots, which, you know, I don't mind that. That's quite funny. And then the other side, we've got the moon. So I guess it's this idea of the Trinity being at the center of, you know, the cosmos in a way. Something like that. These next ones are my unfinished things. So I feel, you know, it's quite vulnerable showing stuff that's finished.
Yeah, you're very brave.
This one was kind of is meant to be about the fall, and this, you know, whatever you make of the books of Genesis, I'm not here to say whether they were, you know, happened literally or not, who knows, but it was more this idea about this moment that we were with God, the idea the moment we were with God in relationship, and then we kind of left that, we kind of chose to leave that and start to rely on our own judgments, you know, the moment that we left the garden. And so it was this idea I wanted to have kind of this orb, which I guess was like, I don't know what that is, like sort of heat and the sun and maybe something falling. So you've got the lines at the back, like a sense of this falling, this movement, and then you've got all of the plants and things. And so I had a look at sort of prehistoric plants, and I've taken, so the kind of ones that look like corally bits on, those are, I've looked at prehistoric botanical drawings and kind of got that, and then I've just put in some other bits as well. And it's probably, you know, I'm not really sure about the little grassy things at the bottom. I don't know if I like them or not. I'm not sure whether I just need to like whack in a load more leaves and things and just kind of go for it. So this one I'm a bit uncertain with. I was going to put some figures in it as well, like a kind of quasi Adam and Eve, like maybe walking towards it. But again, I'm sort of undecided on that. But again, the thing for me with this is just that it's that moment when we walked away from God and into our own world, into our own making, and just like the mystery around that. So aesthetically, I guess I just want it to be quite dark, mysterious, and kind of what's going on there. And again, you can see the gold. Me and gold leaf were having a little note with gold leaf. I'll probably get tired of it at some point.
So let's talk about this this last one as well.
So basically, this one is about a spiritual experience that I had. This is before I was, you know, as Christian. I was about 19, and it was the middle of the day. I was walking back from college. I wasn't in a particularly happy mood or sad mood, just kind of like, I was probably thinking about what lunch I was going to make. As a point of reference, if you just imagine the rest of the world as kind of being black and white and grey, and that's life as I'd experienced it so far. So it's kind of walking on the road, and then suddenly out of nowhere, it felt like a pipette of kind of pure love and light and colour just kind of dropped over me and just enveloped me completely. And it was totally otherworldly. I've never, certainly it's not, you know, not a drug induced experience. I wasn't in a particularly, you know, hyped up mood or anything. I was just completely out of the blue. And then a voice really clear, just sort of in my head, I guess, without that sounding really weird, just said everything's going to be okay. And it was just like, you know, and it lasted a moment and then it left, and it's not happened again since. And I don't know, but it's just a very profound experience. And I'm not really someone that has those sorts of things, and I'm, you know, I'm quite a skeptical person, so I've since thought a lot about what that was, but I don't know, it definitely happened. So I tried to recreate it in this, and so I've this orb, so I've kind of got the grey because that's like just the point of comparison, and then this kind of orb of like light and colour and sort of pureness, and then I guess a figure underneath moving around, which is sort of me walking, but I'm still figuring this out. So this one, the one that's really smooth on the right, is one I did in Photoshop, and then on the left it's me trying to paint it, and this is where I sort of realised, like, I'm not a computer and I can't actually like spread the pigment perfectly. So this one I'm a bit stuck with, because I wanted to have it this like seamless, smooth, perfect sort of orb thing, and yet I just can't do that. So at the moment I'm sort of stuck with this. I'm trying to reconfigure, like, okay, I just need to come up with a different approach. So
what do you really enjoy about creating?
I enjoy, for me, again, there is a spiritual practice to it, and that it's a chance to explore like feelings I have, or, you know, these sort of thoughts which are quite abstract, and I really enjoy that, because I feel like I don't know, it makes me feel alive and kind of invigorated, and I guess connected to God, if that's how you want to put it in those words. And I enjoy thinking of like, oh, what can I do to show that, like what materials can I use, and trying not to be limited. Like with the resin, I was like, oh, I can sort of see that in my head, like in resin with gold leaf. Like I haven't done that before, myself. So I'm just going to like go on YouTube and figure out how to do that. So yeah, it's kind of there's certainly a transcendent like spiritual element that sort of I feel like connects with quite a deep part of me in a way. And also, you know, there's an enjoyment in trying these new things, which, you know, definitely go wrong a lot before they go right. But I'm being okay with that, being like that's part of the process.
Yeah,
I've realized like for all the things I've done, at least there's gonna be at least 1 or 2 drafts, and having that in my plan in a way, so I'm not going into it thinking it's gonna be perfect the straight time, because it won't be. So yeah.
Yes, all part of it. And what's challenging for you?
I guess, yeah, and then in the same breath, the challenging thing is you've got this idea in your head and you're trying to convey something that's, I guess, in some ways, yeah, just very spiritual and personal and abstract, and trying to do that in a way that does justice to the thing that you're trying to show. And you don't want to kind of put it out there, and then actually you feel like, oh no, but now it like makes it look like it's this thing, and it was also this thing, and this thing, and you're sort of limiting it by making it in a way, which is kind of inevitable.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic, Hannah. I'm so glad that you came on and were able to share some of that stuff with us. It's always really interesting to see behind the scenes of people's process. It's really, really good. So do you mind if I just pray for you briefly before we finish? Oh, Jesus, I thank you for Hannah. I thank you for the way that you express your love and your life through her, Lord. And Father, I pray that you'd help her as she goes on this journey of exploration. And Father, I pray that you'd really bless her in it, Lord, that you'd bless her in new experiences and new discoveries, and that she'd just learn more about who she is and who you are, even through what she's doing. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
There you go. Thanks ever so much, Hannah. It was really good to meet you. And I don't think I would have had the courage actually to come on and present things that I hadn't finished, because very often I do something and you know, you're in that phase of thinking, it's no good. But you know, all credit to you, Hannah, for coming on and bearing your soul. So thank you. Right, so now we're just going to have a look at a creative prompt that you might want to use this week. So I will find my picture. Here we go. So, what was your favourite book or food as a child? Find the book or eat the food. I know something of what both of mine would be. I think fish finger sandwiches is one of those all-time comfort things. And the book, not quite so sure. Maybe it would have been an Enid Blyton one. I'll keep you updated. If you follow us on Instagram, I try and post some updates during the week and a little reminder about what the prompt is. So go over to Insta. Well, actually, you can see those posts on Facebook as well. So you'll see the reminders during the week. So to finish with, I'm going to pray a blessing over us that I will make up on the spot. But before we completely finish, I just wanted to give a little plug for any of you watching from Bristol, because our church LoveBristol is running a course beginning the 18th of April, and it's called the Alpha Course. You may have heard of it already, and it's for people who are asking questions about faith, or maybe they've had some sense of faith in the past but don't know really what it's all about. But anyway, anyhow, it's just a chance for you to ask questions and find out a bit more about all this kind of God stuff if you've got questions about it. So you can find out about that on the LoveBristol Church page, and it starts on the 18th of April. Or please get in touch with me, and I'd love to help you with that. So let's finish today with a blessing, and make sure to that you like and share and subscribe, and that would be great. So I will get round to it. The blessing. Here we go. Lord, I bless everybody watching today and everybody watching the replay. I bless them with your peace, and with your joy and with your love. And Father, I pray for those people that have struggled with things that they're carrying, heavy things that you're carrying. I pray that you'd bless them with lightness of spirit, Lord. I pray that you bless them with a new sense of freedom and what it really means to be alive and free in you. There you are. Bless you as you go today, and see you next week on Monday at 12:30 p.m. at the same time for another Make Space. Goodbye.